Good morning all. I am here presenting the topic free consent. It is the important element of the contract. We will discuss one by one. First one is the definition of contract, definition of free consent, coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation and mistake. According to section 10 of Indian Contract Act 1872, one of the essential of valid contract is free consent. Section 13 of this act defines the consent as two or more persons are said to consent when they are agree upon the same thing in the same sense and the same time. Example of this: if the person A has two cars, first one is Maruti Suzuki and Ascent, and the person B is agreed to purchase the car, but A is assuming that he is selling to B the Ascent car and B is assuming that he is purchasing that Maruti Suzuki car. At the time both are assuming the different car, at the time there is no consent between the parties because there are two persons and both are not agree upon the same thing at the same time. According to section 14, consent is said to be free whenever it is not caused by, whenever these both parties are thinking same and agree upon the same thing at the same time, at the time there is a consent. But this consent is not free whenever this consent is taken by coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation and mistake. If out of these five elements any element is present, there is no free consent, and if there is no free consent, there is no contract. First one element is coercion. According to section 5, coercion means committing or threatening to commit any act forbidden by Indian Penal Code 1860 or unlawful detaining or threatening to detaining any other person's property with a view to enter into an agreement. It is immaterial whether the IPC is or is not in force where the coercion is employed. There are some words. First one is committing or threaten to commit. There must be committing something or there must be threaten to commit. And the place is not important whenever this coercion is employed, but coercion must be there. The threaten amounting to coercion need not necessarily be from a party to contract. It may also proceed from a stranger to the contract. It means the coercion may be executed by any other stranger person also. Coercion. Consent is said to be caused by coercion when it is obtained by the committing or threatening to commit any act forbidden by the Indian Penal Code 1860. The unlawful detaining or threatening to detain any property must be present in a coercion. It is not important whether the IPC is or not in force where the coercion is taking place. Example: there is a party A and B. Both Indians are on a voyage trip to America. When the sea peace on the Atlantic Ocean, B threatens A that if doesn't transfer his property to B's name, then he will push him into the water. Now, though the IPC is not in force on the Atlantic Ocean, it is still considered as a coercion is present in this contract. There is an important case. It is Chikki Amiraju versus Sisamma. In this case, a person threatened his wife and son that he would suicide if she doesn't transfer her property in his brother's favor. The wife and son executed the release of the deed under the threat. It was held in this case that the threat of the suicide amounted to coercion with section 15 and the release deed was therefore voidable. This is also a very important case to prove that threat to commit suicide amounts to coercion. Second important case, Muthia versus Muthu Kurupa. An agent refused to hand over the account books of a business to the new agent unless the principal released him for all the liabilities the principal had given a release deed. In this case, the court has held that the deed was given under the coercion and was voidable at the option of the principal. Third one case, it is the Bansraj versus Secretary of State. The government gave a threat of attachment against the property of P for the recovery of the fine due from his son. P paid that fine. It was held in this case by court that contract was induced by coercion. Second element is the undue influence. Sometimes the party is compelled to enter into a contract against his will as a result of unfair persuasion by the other party. Section 16 of this act defines undue influence. A contract is said to be induced by undue influence where the relations subsisting between the parties are such that one of the parties is in position to dominate the will of the other and uses the position to obtain an unfair advantage over the other. Essential elements of undue influence. First one, there are two persons. In this undue influence, there must be minimum two persons, two parties, and the relations are satisfied between them. The relations between two persons must be satisfied with each other. One must dominate the other. One person must dominate the other parties. Example, father and son, principal and agent. Fourth one, there must be unfair advantage. The one party must enter in the contract or force to enter in the contract to take some unfair advantages of that contract. Fifth one element, it involves the moral pressure. There must be moral present in this undue influence. Example, there is undue influence between the following person. First one is principal and agent. Second one, superior and subordinate, doctor and patient, father and son, teacher and student, promoter and company, master servant, spiritual advisor and devotees. These are the parties where undue influence may present. There are some parties among this relationship there is no undue influence. First one is wife and husband. Second one is landlord and tenant. Third one is debtor and creditors. There is an important case. It is Rani Annapurna versus Swaminarayan. A poor Hindu widow was persuaded by a money lender to agree to pay 100% rate of interest on money lent by him. She needed the money to establish her right to maintenance. It was a clear case of undue influence and the court reduced the rate of interest to 24%. Next element is fraud. According to section 17 of the Indian Contract Act. Fraud means and includes any of those acts committed by a party to contract or with his convenience or by his agent with an intent to deceive or induce a person to enter a contract. It is called as a fraud. There must be the suggestion that the fact is true when it is not true and the person making it does not believe in it to be true. It means what? The person who is making the fact otherwise statement, he is knowing that it is not fact at the time the person intention is to deceive, at the time the fraud is present. The active concealment of the fact by a person having knowledge or belief of the fact. It means the person who is making the statement must know the statement and whether the knowledge or belief of the fact must be present. Third one, a promise made without any intention to performing it. Whenever there is a promise without intention to perform, it is called as a fraud. Any other act fitted to deceive. Here the word deceive, it means there must be the intention to cheat. Whenever the intention to cheat is present, at the time fraud is present. Any such act, fifth one important, any such act or omission as the law specially declares to be fraudulent. Law has declared some act as a cheating, otherwise fraud. The act is present at the time fraud is present. Essential elements of the fraud. First one, there must be a representation or assertion and it must be false. There must be some representation and that representation must be false. The second one, the representation must be related to the fact. That representation must be fact and must be based on that contract. Third one, the representation must have been made with the intention of inducing the other party to act upon it. The intention must be inducing the other party to act upon it. Fourth one element, the representation must have been made with a knowledge of its satisfier. Fifth one, the other party must have subsequently suffered some loss. There must be some loss. There must be some loss. Whenever the party is asserting this false statement, there must be some loss at the time the fraud is present. Next one element is misrepresentation. Section 18 of this act defines that when a person positively asserts a fact is true when his information does not warrant it to be so, though he believes it to be true. It means what? The party who is asserting the statement is believed that the statement is true, but actually that statement is false. Second one, where there is any breach of duty by a person which brings an advantage to the person committing it by misleading another to his prejudice. Whenever the party is asserting this statement at the time, there must be some advantages. There must bring to some advantage whenever this statement is executed. Third one, when a party causes, however, innocently the other party to the agreement to make a mistake as to the substance of the thing which is the subject of the agreement. This fact, otherwise statement, must be the base subject of the contract. And there is an important case, Babul versus R.I. Singh. M was a marriage broker who gave Wad the photograph of a man and told him that the man was young and rich. Why conveyed the same to his daughter, who agreed for the proposal, but on the day of marriage it was discovered that the man was the age of 60. There was fraud between M and Y because M and Y was knowing the fact, whereas there is misrepresentation between Y and daughter, Y and his daughter, because they don't know the fact. Last one element is the mistake. There are two types of mistake. First one is mistake of law, and second one is mistake of fact. Whenever there is a mistake of law, there is ignorance of law, but the ignorance of law is not excuse. There are two types of mistake of law. First one is the of the country, second one is the foreign country. If any foreigner comes to our country and at the time he has done some mistake of law, he cannot say that I don't know that law. It is type of mistake of law. Mistake of fact, there are two types of mistake of fact. First one is bilateral and second one is unilateral. Unilateral is it is one-handed, otherwise one party's mistake, and bilateral is both the parties has done mistake of fact. This is the type of mistakes, and whenever this mistake is present in the contract, at the time the contract becomes void. Thank you. This is all for the important elements of the contract of the free consent.